Brittany here, aka the Southern Belle, and I am back with a story to tell you guys. So I originally recorded this last year, but the footage did get lost. This story is like no other. A lot of the things that happen you would not believe. So if you're interested in my second labor and delivery story, then stay tuned. So you guys know I am a recent esthetician graduate. I started the program in August of 2016. 2 or 3 weeks after I got into the program, after school started, I was pregnant. Found out that I was pregnant. Yeah, so let's just go ahead and get into the actual day of my labor and delivery. So, ironically, the very last day of school was April 27th. Had a pregnant client on my bed. I was giving her a facial, and that morning I went to the restroom like I normally do. And when I was using the restroom, I was like, gosh, I am peeing for such a long time. Like, I was peeing for like a minute and a half. I really didn't think anything of it then. I just thought that I just had a whole lot of fluid because I was drinking a lot of water. I mean, it wasn't like my water was leaking. It was actual, like, I could feel myself actually pushing out urine. I got to school that morning. I went to the restroom again, and same thing happened. So I didn't think anything of it. I just thought it was, you know, typical pregnancy, you know, urination. So by this point, I was going and getting my weekly checkups with my doctor, you know, past 30 weeks, and I was going every week. So I would typically schedule an appointment for the morning, go back to school, and finish getting up some more credits. So that morning in particular, I dropped Lee off at school, and I dropped her off around 7:50. My school was literally about 5 or 10 minutes away from hers. They're actually within like a mile and a half radius. And for breakfast that morning, all I had was a fruit smoothie. I figured, you know, after I come from my doctor's appointment, then I'll go get something to eat. No big deal. All right, so I got done with my facial client, and while I'm sitting there, you know, getting ready to, you know, clean up my station and, you know, log on my paperwork, we hear thunder. So we're like, oh my gosh, it's getting ready to storm. We just kind of thought that, you know, it's gonna pass over. We didn't know the weather, what the weather was like. The part of the building that we're in, or that we were in, was the lower level. So a lot of the times we wouldn't have signals for our cell phones. It's like we were in a dungeon. So I got ready to go leave to go to my doctor's appointment, and I walked out the doors to my building, and as soon as I opened the doors, boom, it thundered. And I was like,
okay, great. So I'm getting ready to face the storm. I'm going to the doctor. So
I tried my fastest to brisk walk up to my car. It was up kind of like a little slight walkway. So I walk up to my car, and I kid you not, as soon as I get into my car and close my door, it starts pouring down raining on me. Like, in disbelief, I'm like, I can't
believe I have to drive, you know, from here to my doctor's appointment in Columbus, Georgia. And I was driving from LaGrange.
And that's about 45 minutes. So I'm driving, and you wouldn't believe that my driver's side windshield wiper, it flipped upside down. So it was already loose, and it flipped upside down in the storm while it's storming raining. So I'm driving, I'm just like, oh my gosh,
I cannot believe this is happening to me. Like, I hope that the storm passes over so that I can, you know, see where I'm going. I'm like, I don't want to be late to my doctor's office.
I left pretty early, so just in case something did happen, I would still get there on time. The eye of the storm was in LaGrange as soon as I was leaving. So I'm driving by myself. I would go back to my doctor's office in the way past my house, but I wanted to just go ahead and get on a straight shot. So I hopped on. Maybe 10 or 15 minutes later, I was actually leaving the storm. So it cleared up, and I'm just still like,
I can't believe my windshield wiper's upside down.
Like, I'm hoping that when I get to Columbus that it doesn't pour down raining, because I'm going to have to try to figure out how to get this windshield wiper back on so I can get back home. I'm driving, and I get to my doctor. I get in and I'm waiting. Then they finally call my name and I go and give them, you know, my urine sample. They check my blood pressure, get my height and my weight. And I'm waiting in the chair after I did all that. I'm waiting for them to put me in a room. And then I look down at my shoe and I'm like,
okay, why is there something wet on my shoe?
So I'm like,
I know I didn't pee on myself because I'm not wet anywhere. So how did that get on?
mind you, it was not raining in Columbus. So I'm still puzzled. I'm just kind of trying to figure out like, how did this happen? I had on my black scrub top and I had on my black scrub pants, and I was just like, I don't get it. The doctor, he comes in and he's like, are you okay? And I was like,
I don't know. I was like, I think my water may have broken, but I'm not sure because this never happened before.
When I had Leah, my first daughter, the doctor had to break my water for me. So I was like, I don't know. So he was like, okay, well, you know, change into your gown or whatever, and I'll check and see, you know, what's going on. The week before I went, they did not want to check and see how far dilated I was because they didn't want to rupture anything because I had polyandrios. I had extra fluid on my sac, so they didn't want to possibly cause me to go into labor earlier than I needed to. So I was like, okay, cool. I changed into my stuff, and as I'm changing, I see like liquid. I'm looking puzzled. I'm just like, okay, this can't be happening. There's a big possibility here that my water broke. I just don't know. The doctor comes in and I lay down, and this is a little graphic, so I'm just gonna let you know now. He's checking me, you guys. My water actually sprays everywhere. So, and he's like, oh my gosh, you're 7 centimeters dilated. You need to go to the hospital right now. And I was like,
7 centimeters? Like, oh my gosh, like I'm in labor.
And everybody's like, you didn't know? I'm like, no, I did not know. I did not have any pain. I didn't feel anything. It just was like a regular day to me. Like, I had no idea that I was in labor. So my doctor's, my hospital was right across from the doctor's office, like 2 blocks away. So I reach up and try to like see if I can fix it. No. So I just took it off and I just put it in my passenger seat. I drove over to the hospital. So I drive over to the hospital. I call Aaron and let him know I'm in labor. Meet me at the hospital with all of our bags. And he's like, okay. So at this point, the storm is at our house. So he's driving in the storm to come to meet me at the hospital. All the while he's driving to come get me, the storm is following him. So the storm is coming from our house to Columbus while he's there. So I go over to the hospital and I used the elevator. First of all, I walked in. I didn't let anybody know that I was in labor. I didn't ask for a wheelchair or anything. Like I said, I wasn't in any pain, so I didn't feel like I needed one. I go and I get on the elevator. I go up to the 4th floor, and when I get there, I walk, you know, and I let them know, you know, my name.